So, as in prior meetings, for those of you who've attended, usually what happens is in my firm, we publish newsletters a couple times a year. It might be 1 to 4 times a year, depending on how much news is coming out. And they talk about kind of interesting issues, new cases, whatever the case may be that affect SHRED or SHRED claimants. So what I try to do then is to go through the issues that we haven't covered from last year's meeting in this year's meeting and pull it forward. So a lot of these are issues that we're going to go through chronologically as they came out, not necessarily ranking them in priority or whatever. So we can spend time on some and maybe glaze over them to hit others. But feel free to ask questions wherever you like on the way through or provide comments. One of the things that Russ Roberts from CADA asked to do is ask for feedback or polling or whatever. What are people's opinions on the state of the program and stuff right now? So we've handed out a little questionnaire that he said he'd be interested. And one of the other CRA managers, his name's Harry Gill in Ottawa, he's also watching in, and he wants to get a feeling because there's a belief that the system is in a little state of contention right now, and that there's problems that weren't there 4 or 5 years ago. So they want to find out if that's the case, the perception of practitioners, and then look for evidence of the problems as well as ways to address them and correct them. Okay, so we're basically going to go through these issues in the following order, but we can jump around as needed if anyone's got any questions. The first one is we're going to look at new CRA procedures, which include both a new form and, more importantly, what we call RFI, or Request for Information Procedures, what they look like, the effects, how people are dealing with them. And in the first section, we'll also talk about new international examples and what use or value those might be. Okay, so there's a new T661 form in 2013. Slightly different project reporting format. Not that much different, really. They moved the advancement criteria, I guess, from asking for the advancement up front, what advancement did you achieve up front, to asking what advancement you achieved at the end of the day. Other than that, the project structure is more or less the same. I'm saying that a lot of people are asking, what information do we put in and where? And there's really no consensus, but I'm saying that the key steps, no matter who you listen to, whether you look to the tax courts or whether you look to CRA itself, seem to be defining prior art in some way. Or we call it the boundary of existing knowledge, or thinking outside the box, or whatever. So you have readily available knowledge or standard practice to people, and you want to show objectives that go beyond that. That ideally the courts are saying you want to show then variables, things that you can control to achieve things, to either achieve the objectives or not achieve it, and the conclusions, the analysis, and more particularly the conclusions about those variables are what at the end of the day represent the technological advance. Not the results, whether it's successful or not, but the conclusions, why did this work or not work in relation to the other methods that we could have used. Okay, so this would be a typical template of how to follow the CRA's criteria or the tax court's criteria or whatnot, or what we recommend. So how do you benchmark standard practice? How do you provide measurable objectives wherever possible, the quantitative objective as opposed to the qualitative, although both can be usable. We're going to talk about importance of variables. Why do you want to talk about what variables someone's looking at as a basis of their hypothesis? And then lastly, keeping records of the experimentation, including results on your objectives, but more importantly, conclusions on the variables of uncertainty that you've cited.